That's our news and weather for now. Your Sunday night sports is next.
That's right, Greg. Hi, gang. The new dad. It's Father's Day. The new dad filling in for Big Daddy Ed Sorensen. This is Ken Tomash. Hey, we got a great show for you. The Bulls three-peat, as you probably know. We'll talk to Slick Leonard about when the Pacers were doing the repeat back in the ABA 20 years ago. We'll give away some tickets to the Indiana-Kentucky All-Star Series, and Razor shines this year. But the Bulls, the big story. We'll have that and more when you come back on Sports Nuts. Don't change that dial.
The last defensive rebound has come off the bench for Phoenix, provided a scoring lift, trying to help out Charles Barkley, who has struggled.
Sorensen. Wow. Sorensen.
Ed Sorensen, who's that? No, Ed has the summers off. I'm Ken Tomash. Scott Oak and I are alternating during the summer, bringing you Sports Nuts. Tonight we have a great show for you. We'll be giving away tickets, as we said, to the Indiana-Kentucky High School All-Star Games next Saturday night at Market Square Arena. Now, when you hear Bruce the Moose bellow, be one of the first 6 callers at 239-6666. Not yet, though, folks. Can't call in yet. But as soon as you hear Bruce the Moose bellow, and you probably know what a moose sounds like, or if not, you can probably figure it out. And that'll be if you're one of the first 6 callers at 239-6666. I have in my hand tickets to the All-Star Series, and we'll be talking about the games last night and what's the deal with Sharon Wilkerson later on. But, of course, the big story in sports, the Bulls three-peat. They're one of only 3 NBA franchises to win as many as 3 in a row, and they did it tonight in Phoenix in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Let's take a look at the highlights. Go out to the Valley of the Sun and watch Scottie Pippen, who also had a great finals and a great game tonight. If he wasn't playing on the same team with Michael Jordan, he'd be one of the best players in the world. Still is anyway. Here he dunks over Charles Barkley, had 23 points and 12 boards. Barkley comes back with the slam. It was 56-51 Chicago at the break. Second half. Check out Tom Chambers, the veteran, the nice scoop in traffic as the Suns made some noise in the second half. But B.J. Armstrong kept the Bulls ahead. 4 for 5 from three-point land. Hits that one. He had 18 on the night. Michael, yeah, he was there tonight as well, as usual. The turnaround jumper here as he backs in, gets it on KJ, and it goes. Bulls 87-79 after 3. Now, the Bulls went scoreless for the first 6 minutes of the fourth. Barkley drives and scores. They were tied at 88. Chuck had 21 to go with 17 rebounds. Dan Marley was shooting the threes all series long, gets that one. He had 21. Suns up by a point, 91-90. Then KJ drives and scores. 96-92 Suns. Kevin Johnson had 19 points, 10 assists. The Suns thought there'd be a Game 7. No. Jordan with the rebound. Here he'll drive coast to coast. Jordan had 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and ho-hum 33 points, way below his scoring average for the finals. But here was the shot that won it. Seconds to go. They kick it out to John Paxson for the 3. They were down by 2. They go to up by 1 with just seconds to go. The Suns had a chance inbounds, but they don't get the final shot to go. The Suns lose it. The Bulls win it 99-98 to take the series in 6 games. And yes, you better believe, says MJ, we are making some history tonight.
You know, to win 3 in a row, when you got 28 teams in this league, so much parity, so much talent in this era, I mean, if you don't put us with one of the history teams, then forget you.
What are you going to do now when you finally get away from us? What are you going to do?
Me? Yeah. I'm going to play golf. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to helicopter and try to fire me. I can care less. Oh, man.
I'm not going to sit and say we're better than the Bulls, but I think we feel like we're just as good as they are. I think if in the 4 games we lost, hypothetically, we could have won in any one of the games or all 4 of them. But it just wasn't meant to be.
Michael Jordan, the series MVP for the 3rd time. Big surprise. All right, congratulations to the Bulls. Another big day today for Lee Janzen, the pro golfer who won the U.S. Open. Let's take a look at the highlights from Baltusrol in Springfield, New Jersey. Shot of the day, though, Sandy Lyle, not in contention at all at 8 over par when he tees off on the par 3 12. But this made his day. Look at this, a hole in 1. Perfectly shot for Sandy Lyle. All right, we go to Payne Stewart at the 7th hole. Under a tree, has to use his putter. Left-handed to get out. He would bogey the hole, though. Tom Watson in trouble at 18 in the trees. Yeah, that wasn't good at all. Once he got on the green, though, he saved par with this. Check out this putt. To get him to -2 for the tournament, Tom Watson, yes. Lee Janzen, though, came into the day with a 1-stroke lead, was tied with Payne Stewart at the 14th hole, but here he'll make birdie to go to 6 under. And then the shot of the day for this young man at the 16th. Watch him chip this one from the fringe, from the rough, and in for a two-stroke cushion, reminiscent of Tom Watson's chip at Pebble Beach in '82. Stewart needed a birdie at 16 to stay within one, but this putt, oh so close, did not fall. At 18, Jansen makes the birdie to shoot 69 today, the second player in history to shoot all 4 rounds in the 60s at the U.S. Open, also ties Jack Nicklaus's U.S. Open scoring record of 272 to win by 2 shots over Payne Stewart, and collects $290,000 for his first major championship. Congratulations to Lee Jansen. What a Father's Day gift. All right, let's go to NASCAR. You will not believe the finish of the Michigan 400 this afternoon up in Brooklyn, Michigan. Looked like Mark Martin had this thing won. Here's Davey Allison hitting the wall. He was here in Indianapolis last night watching his father Bobby race in the Fast Masters. Bobby did well. Davey hits the wall out of the race there. But that was nothing compared to what happened to Mark Martin. Mark Martin led 141 of the 200 laps in this race, but here he comes towards the end, and he runs out of gas on lap 192. Do you believe it? He couldn't believe it. Even the folks in the team of Ricky Rudd, the Tide team, couldn't believe it because their guy took advantage of it to win the race. Came on and won the thing. Ricky Rudd wins the Miller Genuine Draft 400 at Brooklyn, Michigan, and our own Jeff Gordon from Pittsburgh, Indiana, was second. Defending champ Peugeot was the big winner in the 24-hour of Le Mans in France. And guess who? Australian Jeff Brabham took the checkered flag. I was racing here at Indy. They went 3,187 miles in this race in 24 hours. That is a lot of racing. Okay, let's go to baseball now. We'll talk about the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. Take a look at the highlights real quick. And the hottest young hitter in baseball, hitting over 400, threatening to get Ted Williams' mark. John Olerud goes 1 for 3 for the Blue Jays today. That base hit, 25-game hitting streak for John Olerud. Joe Carter, though, hits the home run here, his 15th of the year for the Blue Jays at Skydome off Frank Viola, and this game was tied at 2. Later action, the Red Sox in town. Ivan Calderon will step up, and he launches one, but Roberto Alomar will rob him with a great grab. All right, we go to the bottom of the 12th, tied at 2. Joe Carter, who had homered, slapped one through the infield, scoring Roberto Alomar with the winning run. Toronto 3, Boston 2 in 12. On the Mortgage Group of America League scoreboard, the Yankees sweep the Twins. Mickey Tettleton hit a grand slam as Detroit beat Milwaukee. Chris Hoyles had a homer double and a single for Baltimore as they beat Cleveland. Ricky Henderson homered. The A's win. White Sox over the Angels 11-6. Seattle 13, Texas 2. To the National League for the Reds and the Dodgers, Mike Piazza. He is Tom Lasorda's grandson or godson or something. It doesn't matter today. He is hot. 4th home run in his last 14 at-bats. Puts this one into the second deck in center field at Riverfront Stadium. He's hitting .344. Then Eric Karros goes deep off Tim Belcher. And the Dodgers beat the Reds today by the final of 6-3. National League numbers: Atlanta 5-1 over Montreal. The Phillies squished the Fish 4-3. St. Louis 7, Chicago 4. Barry Bonds hit his 20th home run, and the Giants win. The Rockies win. And tonight, the Pirates beat the Mets. Now, the Indians, the Indianapolis Indians, beat Omaha tonight 3-2. And guess who? The winning manager this weekend, 2 for 2. Razor shines, filling in for Mark Bombard, who was at his daughter's dance recital down in Florida. Let's bring Razor on. Razor, it's great to have you. You had a great weekend. Thanks for being with us here on Sports Nuts, our lovely sports
Thanks for having
basement,
me, Ken.
you might say. Let's take a look at the highlights real quick. Razor, I know you have the managerial thing down. You wanted to be a manager eventually. Did you think this would happen quite this soon?
Well, you know, I didn't think that it would come about this soon, but it's something that I've always wanted to do. I'm just thrilled to get an opportunity to do it.
Cal Culberson, the kid just up from AA Chattanooga, pitched a great game. What did you say to him tonight?
Well, you know, Cal, he joined us once earlier in Louisville. He came up on the same kind of situation and pitched well, so I said, Cal, just treat it just like you did in Louisville. Go out there and do the job that you're capable of doing.
He picked up the victory tonight. Went 7 innings for the win as they beat Omaha. Now, here's the funny part. I love this. Besides, you know, obviously, you know, working the defense here. Did you have fun in the dugout tonight?
I had a great time.
Yeah?
Again, it's something I wanted to do for a long time. Got an opportunity to do it.
All right, here's the funny part. Cecil Espy singles to right. Cesar Hernandez is coming first to third. Describe this.
Well, you know, that's the best way I know how to tell him to get out.
And he did, too. Ball got away, but he came back.
It's tough for those guys to hear you sometimes.
And now you also, that's one thing a manager has to do. Another thing came here when Omaha's Carl Rhodes stepped up and hit a long fly ball to left. Now, most people thought it went foul, but the umpire called it fair, and so you had to get out and get your argument going. What were you saying?
Well, you know, all I was saying is that if my players think the ball was foul, if all three of those guys think the ball was foul, then I got to believe that the ball was foul. But again, if he called it fair, then that's what we got to go on.
First lesson of managing that the ump, you were rarely going to win an argument with the ump. Scott Ruskin came on in the ninth. That was a brilliant move, bringing Ruskin on, 15th save that leads the league. And you go 2-0 over the weekend. Managing down the line for you sometime, you think?
Well, you know, I would like to think so. But one thing is for sure, that we do know that those percentages will dwindle. And, you know, as long as you do it, sooner or later you're going to lose.
Well, what we're hoping for is, I know this was your last season as an active player. You wanted to go out. Maybe the Reds would call you up at the end of the year. We think that would be great.
Well, we'll take whatever happens.
All right, Razor Shines, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Ken.
And now, no fair answering our Hardy's trivia question tonight, Razor, but the folks at home can. What is Razor Shine's given name? The answer when we come back.
Sports Nuts is sponsored in part by Hooters.
His given name, it is Anthony Razor Shines. We thought it was Anthony Raymond, that's what it said in the press guide, but Razor was just sitting right here and says, no, Razor is his given middle name. I did not know that. Now we did. We're back on Sports Nuts. Ken Tomash filling in for Ed Sorensen this week. Now, you know, the Indiana-Kentucky All-Star basketball games last night were overshadowed a bit by the abrupt departure of Mr. Basketball for Indiana, Sharon Wilkerson from Jeffersonville, who was taken out of the game after scoring 14 points in 19 minutes, left, packed his bags, took his mom, went home to Jeffersonville, just up the river, or up the road, across the river from Louisville, where they played Kentucky last night. He has since apologized to his teammates, but they're not going to let him back on the team. Won't play this weekend at Market Square. Says he really didn't want to play in these games anyway. That seems strange to me. But here is what Coach Jim Hamill had to say last night about the whole thing.
You know, Sharon is a very good kid that has, you know, trouble playing hard all the time. He's a good kid, and he's a talent, obviously. But I don't think any coach ever owes him an explanation when he takes him out of a ball game. That's not part of. I don't think Coach Knight probably. I mean, I don't know, but I just have a feeling that when he takes him out of the game next year, he's probably not going to come over and put his arm around him and say, Sharon, you know, hey, we're really sorry about taking you out, but you know.
Somehow I think that's the sound Coach Knight might make in that situation with Sharon Wilkerson. All right, good luck to the boys and girls next weekend at Market Square. And, of course, you could be one of the lucky winners to get tickets if you call in right about now. All right, when we come back, we will drive the lane, memory lane, that is. Remember, the Bulls three-peated tonight. Remember when the Pacers were winning back-to-back ABA championships? Well, the coach of that team, Slick Leonard, is with us. Slick, why don't you take us to commercial, buddy?
Leonard, stick around with us, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little Pacer basketball on Sports Nuts.
Kentucky 3 out of 4 down here in Louisville.
Yes, it was 20 years ago. Here he is, Slick Leonard. Slick, does it really seem like it was 20 years ago since you guys were winning back-to-back titles in the ABA?
No, tonight I was watching the Bulls, and in Phoenix, and it brought back a lot of memories. Ken?
Let's take a quick look at some video of the ABA Western Conference or Western Division Finals that year against Utah. What stands out in your mind as you look back on that 73 Pacer team?
Well, it was a tough year because we'd won it in 72, and when you come back with a back-to-back, that's Donnie Freeman hitting that jumper down at at Utah. McGinnis, boy, that George McGinnis was something. Freddie Lewis. There's Daniels in the middle with that turnaround jumper. This was a big rivalry, Utah. 7th game, the semifinal series, to go to the championship series.
And you're here at the fairgrounds in front of a packed house. It must have been, and the sideburns.
Well, now, this was at the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City. Here's the little dynamo, Billy Keller. That was our answer tonight to Johnny Paxson.
And you got to love them play inside Zelmo Beatty.
Zelmo Beatty, Willie Wise. Utah had a great ball club, of course. Freddie Lewis. If I had to take my choice between B.J. Armstrong and Freddie Lewis, I'd take Freddie Lewis. There's Mel putting it back. Boy, he fought those boards.
Darnell Hillman, of course, also had a great series.
Well, when you look at it, Ken, that was a great front line with Daniels, George McGinnis in his prime, Darnell Hillman. You know, there's George. That was our answer to Charles Barkley right there at 6'8", 240, quick. There's Darnell Hillman. Here's Don Busey, starting out young in his career, hitting a little jumper. Of course, he ended up with a great pro career at Phoenix, with the Pacers and Phoenix.
And you beat Utah in 7, going on to face the Kentucky Colonels. And we will take a look at the ABA Finals of 1973 against those Kentucky Colonels, Dan Issel, Artis Gilmore, and all those guys after this break. We'll be right back on Sports Nuts. Don't go away.
Sorensen. Wow. Sorensen.
This was always the premier ABA team, I thought, in terms of interest, in terms of management, in terms of players, enthusiasm. So it's kind of neat. I walked by Slick Leonard's picture today, and I always admired him as a player, and then when I got into coaching, I admired him more. So I'm happy that I'm getting to coach a team he was part of as well.
So, Slick, Larry likes you. Do you like Larry? You think he's a good choice as the Pacers' new coach?
Well, Larry's a terrific guy. He was, you know, I coached against him when he was a player and then when he was a coach. And there's a big job to be done here, and I think he can get her done.
All right, let's take a look now down memory lane. The 73 ABA Championship Series against the Kentucky Colonels. Let's take a look at the VO. And one of the big matchups in this, of course, Slick, was Artis Gilmore and Darnell Hillman, the Afro War.
Well, that guy right there, look at those afros on those guys. That Artis Gilmore stuck around the NBA. There's Rick Mount from Lebanon, was with the Colonels then, but Artis stuck around the NBA for 16, 17 years.
That was a tough inside combination for Joe Mulaney between Artis Gilmore and Dan Issel there.
Danny Issel now is coaching at Denver, of course. There's the old Roger
hits the 3 to tie it with a minute to go. Now, Jimmy O'Brien hits the 20-footer here. I got to ask, do you still have that jacket? I hope not.
Yeah, I think I just put that in a bag and gave it to somebody.
Anyway, they waved off that shot. Was after the shot clock, and in overtime, Freddie Lewis drives for the gamer. He had 29. You took the first game, 111-107. The games 2 and 3, the Artis Gilmore show. 29 points, 26 rebounds, and 7 blocks in game 2. He was just unstoppable.
Boy, he was a monster. Had a great series. There's Big
blocks.
George coming in. I'll tell you, that guy was some kind of player in his prime.
George was going in for the tying bucket there, and Artis swatted it away in game 3. 92-88, Kentucky wins. Game 4 at Indiana. Now, Donnie Freeman and Rick Mount get into it. You had a good perspective of this. In fact, it figured in you getting thrown out of the game.
There's 2 heavyweights right there going at each other.
Now, you got thrown out of this, 2 technicals. You were gone, and so who had to coach the team the second half? Do you remember?
Well, a guy that I originally brought into basketball, one of the great defensive players of all time, and there he is, Gus Johnson.
Gus said he was nervous on the bench. He gets in Freddie Lewis inside. Gus Johnson said he really didn't like this thing. He got a little nervous, as you can see. There, he looked like Slick Leonard there. Dressed a little bit better, but that was about it. McGinnis had 20 points.
Unfortunately, Gus passed away last year with cancer, but he was a great player in his day.
McGinnis had 20 and 13 rebounds in that game. 90-86, Pacers won. Game 5 down in Kentucky. And here's where George went from GOAT to hero in less than a minute.
Well, we set that play up, and George fumbled it, and it got out of bounds. But watch, if it shows it here, you can watch what he did to recover. He stole that inbounds pass, and there's Stuff City for him.
89-86, the Pacers won. Now, you had a chance to wrap it up in Game 6 back at the fairgrounds. Everyone thought you were going to do it. The Pacemates, of course, that's Barbara Lewis of Channel 6. Not a lot of people know that she was a Pacemate back in the old days. But they just played too well, 109-93 to beat you. Were you really disappointed not to wrap it up here?
Oh, yeah, we really wanted to win it. And I've often said, as we watched the Chicago-Phoenix series, there's more pressure on you at home. You're a lot looser when you go on the road in the playoffs.
And that's where you won it. Game 7 at Kentucky, the trophy just waiting to be had, and McGinnis had 27 to wrap it up for you. Just an unbelievable series for him. He was the sort of almost the Michael Jordan of his day.
Well, he was. He was at 6'8", 240. You know, when they talk about power forwards, this guy had it all. Boy, he was quick, strong, could shoot it. And this was a great ball game, that 7th game down at Freedom Hall. One little guy, there's Billy Keller, but one guy we haven't mentioned from Southport High School, Louis Dampier, boy, had a great career down there with Kentucky.
Played in the ABA for all 9 years.
There's 2 old Purdue buddies, Rick and Billy, getting together after the game. But there's no greater feeling for those people that watched the ball game between Phoenix and Chicago tonight, coming back into that dressing room. There's no greater feeling in the world that sticks with you all your life when you win one of those babies.
That was 20 years ago. Slick Leonard, always a pleasure to talk to you. I know we'll be talking to you many more times whenever it comes to hoops in the state of Indiana. You were an Indiana All-Star yourself, were you not?
I wasn't an All-Star, but I spent my All-Star days down at Indiana University.
Yes, as we were the Hurricane Hoosiers of '53. Slick, thanks for staying up late with us. Really appreciate it.
Ken, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed seeing those old films.
We'll take care. All right, we'll be back with some kid stuff in just a bit. Don't go away on Sports Nuts. Welcome back to Sports Nuts, everybody, and it is a very special Father's Day for me. My first as a new dad. I want you to meet my little sports nut. This is my son, Zach, born March 1st here in Indianapolis. He is a little sports nut, and he's happy to be with you, and so am I. Happy that you have shared your sports Sunday with me and with my boy, Zach, and hope you had a great Father's Day and a great sports weekend. I'll be back in this chair on this set next Sunday night with Sports Nuts, and Scott will be here during the week at 5, 6, 10, and 11 with the best in sports. Have a great week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to all my guests. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.